Hey guys, welcome back to Franchise Tagged, the podcast season 2. It is here. It is episode 0. We are excited and check out the new intro. And now we wait for the intro to play and such. And now
Such
we're
and
back.
things.
Wasn't that cool? Wasn't that cool? I spent so much time on that. I really didn't, but it was fun. All right. So we're gonna kick this off. This is kind of our prediction episode. We did something really over the top last year in predicting every single outcome of every single game, but
Thank
not
goodness we're
doing that
not
this
doing that
year.
again.
No, we put the time into making that sick animation that you saw instead of
Yeah,
predicting matchups. Um,
yeah. Upped our
but do you
production
want to?
quality instead of our content quality. It's whatever.
Yeah. Did you want to run through our schedule for the day for the episode?
Yep. So in today's episode 0, we're not doing our usual segmentation that we will kind of do throughout the season, but we are going to be going over the preseason. All of the games have been played by now, so we're going to kind of just tackle some of the rookies that we saw, and maybe some of the faces in new places as well. We're going to be going over bold predictions. This is seemingly just kind of going to take over our NFL bingo format from last year, whereas we kind of went a little overboard on the bold predictions we had last year. So, yeah, we're just making it its own bold predictions kind of thing that we're going to keep up with throughout the year. And then we are going to go over some of our breakout players candidates for the year. And then we're going to close out the episode by predicting our division winners for every division and then our award candidates that we think and the award winners uh, at the end of the video. So if you are interested in any of these segments but not the others, feel free to skip along and yeah, well, let's get on into it. You want to start
Yeah.
off with your Patriots?
Yeah, my New England Patriots.
Yeah.
The future is looking very scary, and I don't know what to think. But I will say the biggest takeaway I have from the preseason, I didn't watch every game, but I did watch enough snaps to kind of get a sense of it. Drake May is legit. Drake May is the real deal, as much as preseason can tell us that. And the weapons are not as bad as everybody thought they would be, but the offensive line is 10 times worse than everybody thought it would be, which was already bad. Everybody already knew it was going to
Yeah.
be bad, and it's so much worse. Um,
Who was
so
the
for the
veteran that y'all pulled back from the O line? Right, he hit free agency and y'all still signed him back, or did he go
uh,
elsewhere?
Onwenu, Mike Onwenu,
Oh, okay,
he was
gotcha.
he's a solid part of the offensive line. The rookie Caden Wallace played guard for us, and he was doing pretty well. But the left side, Jaquimo Okorafor, I believe, is the guy that we brought in from the Steelers this offseason, and he was pretty abysmal at left tackle. He had several illegal formation penalties called on him, and the ref
Rough.
in this last preseason game, the ref was like, illegal formation on 77 again. And I was like, man, all right,
Oh, that's foul. That's foul
yeah.
from the ref. Yeah.
But I do think that Drake May is better than Jacoby Brissett right now. I also do not think that they should start Drake May behind that offensive line before they have some experience together and they develop a little bit more, hopefully, fingers crossed, or before they make a move and bring in somebody at tackle, because we need it bad. I don't want Drake May to die behind the offensive line year one and then never be the same. So
Is is it something that you'd be looking for him to start during the year, or just full year, get another offseason in with the like Gerard Mayo leadership, get a new draft in, get some of those new pieces in, or is it just like, all right, we're gonna go, 4-8, and then we're gonna start Drake May to see what we have, kind of thing, or just let him sit the rest of the year?
yeah, I'm kind of torn on that, and that's why I made the full video on what I want the Patriots to do with Drake May. But I don't know. I think it ultimately depends on how that offensive line performs. If it starts to get better and look better as the year goes on, and
Mm-hmm.
we're not winning things, like if we're like clearly out of it and we just want to get the rookie his reps, then give him his reps if the offensive line is good. But if we're losing, we're not playing well, and it's because of the offensive line instead of because of the defense or because of whatever, then I would rather see him still be sitting. Um, than just throwing him out there to the wolves, basically. Because I
Yeah.
don't want to see another situation like RG3 or like hopefully not. Hopefully this isn't Anthony Richardson's future, but
Mm-hmm.
he had his injury in his first year, and that wasn't because of bad O line play or anything. But
Yeah.
I don't want to see a situation like that where he's just ruined for the rest of his career because we decided we wanted him to get his snaps.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Any other of the rookies on the Patriots that really stood out? I mean, we've had our conversations about Joe Milton and his Joe Milton-ness, so we
It
don't
was
have
on
to rehash that if we don't
it
want
was it
to.
was on full display. For reference, we're recording this on Monday. Sunday Night Football was the Patriots' last preseason game, and that was just the ultimate Joe Milton experience. First play, he comes in, launches it just casually 50 yards down the field for a pick. Uh,
Overturned
and
pick. Hey,
it
hey,
was heavy holding on the play. Like there was no question that that was a defensive that was DPI. But yeah, it was just the full Joe Milton experience all game long. He was, if you need a 60-yard pass, he'll give you a 60-yard pass. If you need a 15-yard pass, he'll give you a 60-yard pass. It was that whole thing was very evident. I love Joe Milton. I think he's like just a fun guy to have in the building, and I hope he's their QB3. But I just yeah, I think if he was willing to convert to tight end, he'd be a much bigger asset to us. But he already said he's not, so I'm not saying that he's useless without it. But anyway, do you want to get into talking about some of your Lions guys?
I definitely can, and I'm honestly out of left field. I'm gonna start with the least known pick that we made. First pick was Terry Arnold, and then there was Ennis Rakestraw that we got doubling up on the corners in the first two rounds. Go down to round 4, and we got Sion Vaki, a safety, running back, kick return specialist, kind of weird smorgasbord of position, like positionless play, honestly, from Sion Vaki in college. And we had him at running back, and throughout the whole preseason, he got his reps in, and it's like he's definitely one of the most polished backups we have, and it's odd because we have such a good, strong, like two-headed beast that we have Sion Vaki, who's gonna just kind of ride the bench and be that special teams player for the whole year, but he's gonna make the roster. I think without a doubt. I think he'll probably be running back 4 on the roster, and he looked really good. And I'm not sure if like it was him looking really good, or if it's like is our backup O line just that good at run blocking? Don't know, because he
Well,
was tearing it up.
yeah, I feel like I saw a lot of good running back play with the backups and against backups, even for the Patriots. I saw running backs gash 10-yard runs multiple times. And
The
I
run defense was not there in the preseason.
don't
Let's
think
say.
it's the Patriots offensive line that's doing that. So I think especially backups, we talked about in our most popular video of all time. We talked about the preseason headlines and how everything can kind of be a little crazy and out of proportions, but um, I do think it's still valuable to see those reps for everybody. So it's good to see that.
Especially for those fringe guys, like the guys on the
Mhm.
bubble of the roster. Like he's a fourth round guy. He's a running back who we have no shortage of running backs in our room. I mean, Jake Funk and Zonovan Knight took snaps for the
Zonovan
Lions.
Knight was like starting for the Jets for a minute.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
starting for the Jets for a while. He got cut by the Jets, and we picked him up. And like, yeah, we had a laundry list of running backs. We had get snaps, and Seal Vaki definitely looked the best out of any of them. Um,
yeah, and I know on draft night you were actually kind of excited about him. You like looked him up and you were like, "Whoa, that's sick," and you were
yeah,
you were talking
it
to me about him.
was
So
it was definitely like I saw some of the safety play, and I was like, we have too busy of a safety room, but he's kind of that kick return and the running back. So I was thinking like, okay, they're gonna change the return rules, and he could
yeah,
definitely be used there in some capacity, along with just the good injury backup assurance there. And
yeah.
now onto the bigger names of the draft for the Lions is Terry Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw. Ennis Rakestraw played really, really well, but it's preseason against backups,
I was gonna
and
ask, was he running with the backups or was he running with the starters out there?
we didn't run starters the entire uh, preseason. So Terry Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw are both kind of projecting to be those uh, rotational backs that we have,
Okay.
because we got Carlson Davis, um, Terry Arnold. I think could probably be fringe. I know that our nickel is probably just going to be short up by Branch.
Yeah.
And Emmanuel Mosley got hurt. He's on IR, so I think that there's that extra little wiggle room for where Tyrion and Ennis could make their way into the lineup. But Ennis Rakestraw, I mean, corner out of Mizzou definitely looked really good. And Terrion Arnold as well. I think Terrion was definitely showing a lot of what he showed on tape and in his college days. And, that was good tape, played at Alabama. So I think both of them I'm looking forward to seeing, but I know that they're not going to be on the field, super frequently because we made a lot of moves and we definitely shored up our defensive back position to where it's a lot more competitive. I think that the fact that both of them are there and neither of them are currently like listed as starters, they're both really quality players, so they could work their way into starting roles and also could run a lot more nickel or a lot more dime and see them on the field and really see them succeed in those roles.
Yeah. Now, do we want to get into some of these, like the bigger names, just overall in the draft, the Caleb Williams, Roma Dunze, Bo Nix, those kind of guys, or do you have much to talk about with them? Because I saw the drives from Caleb Williams, and I know he had his 3-and-outs and stuff, but I didn't see much other than that, and I really didn't see anything about a Dunze. So
I can speak on a Dunze because I feel like the Caleb Williams conversation, everyone knows the conversation because it's the top of everything. Like the NFL is posting, like it's the number one draft pick. He's the top news article for the preseason. Like top players aren't really getting snaps. The top draft pick is. We're gonna want to see the news about that. And Caleb Williams played really well. And Roma Dunze, I felt like it was very iffy to me. Like he had the couple of highlight plays, and outside of those really good highlight plays, if he was like pressed at the line or just like kind of had any contact during his route, he was not really getting much separation. And I didn't really expect it's against backups. I didn't really expect him to look as poor as he did during the preseason. I'm sure it'll clean up because they got HBO Hard Knocks going and they're showing like the clips of him at practice. And at practice, he's like doing really good. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it'll clear itself up as he gets those more reps in. And he had his missteps with Caleb Williams where they're, if you might have seen it, it was he caught it at the back of the end zone, standing on the line instead of inside. Just like the big plays where he might have made a misstep on catching or ran the route just a tick off where the ball's not heading straight to him. Just those kind of missteps I think that him and Caleb are working through and he'll need to work through in order to kind of make that wide receiver 2 be his over Keenan. But yeah, I think Rome, it's a rookie year. He'll have a lot of room to grow. He's not exactly going to be like Justin Jefferson's rookie year. He's got too much competition in the wide receiver room.
I was going to say, I think competing with Keenan Allen for a wide receiver 2 spot on a team is just like, that's not good for any rookie. That's not good for any player, much less any rookie. Mm-hmm. I did see some plays by Xavier Worthy, and he's small, but he's fast. And he's the perfect prototype to play with Mahomes. You see the kind of guys they're trying to get around him. They got their Mecole Hardmans, their Hollywood Browns, Xavier Worthy, obviously, just smaller, faster guys, kind of trying to replicate the success they had with Tyreek. I think is the. Mm-hmm. It's impossible to not look at it like it's trying to replicate Tyreek's success when they draft a fast receiver.
Yeah, I think the majority of it is that last year there was no. I feel like that the league kind of shifted how they were going to play against Mahomes when they had Tyreek. Like he had his one great year, MVP, his breakout season when he first started with Tyreek. And then they were like, okay, we're going to make sure we always have a safety over the top. We're not going to let that happen anymore. So then they shifted to kind of covering them like that. And then they lost the horses to run that kind of offense. They didn't have, the Legion of Zoom. They lost Demaryius Robinson. They lost like Tyreek. And so they lost the speed room. So then they were like, okay, let's not run constant like deep safeties. We can kind of pressure the offense a little more and make them more check down heavy. And so now they're kind of like, all right, let's have the possibility of the shot play without it being dropped by MVS. And let's also have the ability to check down to Rashee Rice and these like real good players against zone. Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, like the people that know where to find the spot and sit. So they're definitely going to probably see a lot more of those safeties over top with the fact that they have Worthy now. And I think that Worthy won't have like a huge stat line like Tyreek did, but he's going to be a lot of that decoy to open up things. And not sure if you saw, but they got Juju back. They signed him back.
Yeah, I did see that they signed him.
We
That's
have our big-bodied,
he'll be a great wide receiver
slow, slow wide receiver for depth.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. I really didn't have much time to watch much of the preseason, so I don't have many opinions on anything other than Patriots players because those are players that I wanted to see what they had going on.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I did see that Bo Nix had a pretty damn good preseason. Obviously, Matt was talking to us about that.
Yeah,
but
I think Bo Nix, the ceiling is very high with how he's being talked about. Like the expectations are very high for, suddenly the Broncos, who were this really bad team, are like, oh, they're gonna make playoffs. It's like, no, he's still like a rookie. He played preseason. I'm not too hype about it, but I definitely do think that he's gonna play better than where he was drafted in relation to the other quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna play better than Penix.
Oh man, the Falcons better hope that he's like a future Hall of Famer because that's Trey Lance level of just bad decision making. Otherwise,
now hear me out. This is just a tangent my brain's gone on right now. Trey Lance could have been had for a fourth. That's evident with how the Cowboys got him for a fourth. The Falcons traded for Matt Judon and gave up a fourth. They could have given that fourth for Trey Lance and drafted Dallas Turner or somebody to help the defense instead of trading for Matt Judon. And no, I am not saying that Trey Lance and Michael Penix are the same level of player, but they are the same age. And one of them has been in the league for 3 years. And the other one has a questionable injury history. So I don't know. That's just...
Anyway. Or you still want an offensive weapon because you're the Falcons and you're picking at pick 8. Okay, Rome, there's other options here than a quarterback to ride the bench for years and years.
If you want to see what happens when you've got Darnell Mooney as your wide receiver too, look at the Bears last year. How'd they do?
You don't need to do the experiment yourself, please.
Anywho, I think that's about all the preseason we got. So let's move into some bold predictions. I think we're just gonna go firing back and forth at each other. I've got 7 bold predictions. Okay. I don't know how many you've got.
You have more than me, but I'm sure I'll think of some more as I hear some of the kind of context that yours are in as well.
Yeah. So my first bold prediction, I think Stephon Diggs is the wide receiver 4 in Houston.
In terms of usage, yards,
I think overall he will be outperformed by 3 receivers in Houston, whether that's yardage, whether that's usage, whether that's just CJ Stroud preferring them. I don't think he's bad. I'm not saying this as I'm not saying it as a dig at Stephon Diggs, but
we're dorks.
Man, if you watch us, why? Anywho, I'm not saying it as a slight to Diggs, right? I think that he's solid. I just think that the rest of the receivers in Houston are better. And that kind of goes along with one of my breakout players, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
My breakout player for the year is Stephon Diggs. I think all of the 3 receivers over him will absolutely shatter records. All right.
My breakout player for the year is Nico Collins.
Nico Collins. All right, so my first bold prediction, might not be bold in the grand scheme of things. I'm not super in touch with this team or what the, perspective of this team is, but it's definitely very bold leaving my mouth. I think that this will be Josh Allen's best year since his year under Dable when he had only 5 interceptions or whatever, the really good stat line he had in 2019 was. I think that this is going to be his best year since then. Statistically, he's going to really cool it on the interceptions that just lose games. And with his lack of weapons, he'll be a little safer and he'll throw the ball, a little more checkdowns, a little more tight end usage. But it's going to be his best year since Dable.
That was going to be my clarifying question. Do you think that do you think that it's because Diggs was such a cancer that he was asking him to throw the ball into bad situations just to get him targets? And so that's why Josh was throwing those picks? Or is it like he's going to be safer because he lost his top two receivers and they replaced him with a 30-second pick?
Yeah, see, I think that I wasn't in the huddle, so I don't know what slander Diggs was throwing at him. I will date your sister if you don't. I'll date your daughter, whatever it might have been.
Hold on. These guys, no. These guys' daughters would be like 5. You can't say that.
Josh Allen doesn't have a daughter to my knowledge, so forgive me there. So I wasn't in the huddle, but I definitely do think that the whole offensive scheme will have to change and that it will be for the better for Josh Allen, where he's not throwing those he's basically not going to have the faith in his weapons to be like, okay, I can throw this 40 yards downfield into double coverage and hope that they come with it.
There's no Effett, he's down there somewhere because he doesn't have a him to do that with.
There's no him. Effett, Keon down. Hold up, actually.
There's 30 yards in front of me. I can just run. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll take this. Don't worry about it.
All right. Bold prediction number 2 for me is that the 49ers do not win their division.
I like that.
I don't think it's like super bold. I think
it's
there's
not
a
the
decent chance, but with how
bold.
dominant they've been, and they're kind of projected as the top team in the NFC every year, for them to just not be there, I think is I don't want to say 14 players are going to snap their legs in half or something that's never going to actually happen.
Something like, there's going to be 2 quarterbacks that have Achilles tears. That would have been, when's that going to happen? Never heard of an Achilles tear for a quarterback before last year.
Dude, there's just been so many more Achilles tears.
You know how bad you would have felt though if you predicted that, and then Aaron Rodgers comes out, gets 4 snaps.
This reminds me of there was a Hive Mind bit where Graydon was talking about how devastated he would be if Nick Chubb, if his leg just shattered into a million pieces, and this was the season before Nick Chubb's leg got. Yeah, it's crazy. I'll say I think I found it on Twitter. Somebody quote tweeting it with the Nick Chubb injury, but I'll send it to you later if I can find it. Anyway,
so on to bold prediction number 2 for me. I'm gonna stick to the NFC. Fuck, where are they? East? No, West. Duh, damn it! All of them are on the West Coast. The NFC West teams here, and I'm gonna go ahead and say that for the Rams, Aaron Donald's not there anymore. But Byron Young, coming off of his rookie year, is going to become the new leader of the D-line, and he's going to lead them in pressures, and he's going to hit double-digit sacks. Less so 10 sacks, closer to 14 and a half is my the boldness of it. If he hits 10 as an increase from his 8 last year, not so bold. Doubling it is a little bit closer to bold there.
I do think that it's bold to say that he's going to do better because of. I mean, you've heard the Kelsey brothers talk about Aaron Donald and how it was okay, when we're playing against him, the entire offensive line is blocking him, and everybody else is put a hand on him every now and then, but make sure Aaron Donald doesn't move.
Yeah, that's additional for the boldness is he's not going to have a giant body next to him to take all the attention, and he's still going to perform really well and really good.
Well, he is going to have a giant body, the rookie, but it's not going to be taking as much attention as Aaron Donald.
Giant as in presence.
Yeah.
Not body.
Yeah. I've got my third bold prediction is that the Raiders or Giants are going to go winless. One of those 2 teams will not win a game this year.
Damn. Antonio Pierce experiment fails horrifically.
And then also because I guess I can tie this in with that. It's another bold prediction about the Giants. I think they're going to make a mid-season QB trade. I don't know who's going to be available or who they're going to go after, but I do think that they are going to look at their team.
Michael Penix.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy.
The pick number 8 and trading him away for
Brian Burns for Penix straight up.
They just paid him so much money.
They did, but they also got him for nothing.
Sure.
That's not a trade suggestion. Don't do it, Giants.
All right. So we'll just we'll combo that. That'll be one bold prediction for you.
Yeah. So
So
I'm
I'll
down to
go
six
with
now.
one more here. I think this is a Lions based one. I think that Jamison Williams finally beats the bus allegations and reels in a 1,000 yard, 9 touchdown stat line for the year.
That'd be a huge jump from his
Like
significant lack of a stat
300.
line his
Yeah.
first few years.
I think he has like 3 touchdowns in his career so far. And I
And one of
think
them was
he
like the
only
jet
has.
sweep one, right?
Yeah. And one of them is, I think his total career yards is probably like 400 tops.
Yeah.
400 off of like 3 catches.
I'm gonna piggyback off that and not go with a Lions one, but go with a Patriots bold prediction. I think they are going to split all of their division matchups. I think they're gonna win one and take one and lose one against the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins.
I wonder how many will be at home. You're definitely beating the Dolphins at home if y'all play them late in the year at all.
Yeah, true. we might take both against the Dolphins then.
Okay. Now I'm spitballing. All right, you
Okay,
got me.
okay,
You got me
okay.
cooking.
I feel like you're
My
gonna
bold
spitball one
predictions.
of my bold predictions. I don't know why.
What
I
was
just
that?
get that feeling. I feel like you're gonna spitball one of my bold predictions. Like you're just gonna guess it.
That
It's
would
not like
be-
it's obvious or anything. I'm just getting that feeling.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. All right, spitball for right now is that the Titans. Will Levis throws for, we'll say, 4,000 yards plus.
Damn. That's a bold prediction. It's old as shit. Much like his receiver room, it's old as shit. That's a bar. I got one for you. I got Justin Jefferson leading all wide receivers in yards, despite who he's got to deal
Sam
with at
Darnold?
quarterback. Yeah,
Hold
I
on.
don't think it fucking matters. I don't think it matters at all. I don't.
The hospital balls Sam Darnold's
So-
about to be thrown.
I have reasons, right? Jordan Addison has his issues. He might get suspended for the reckless driving and stuff. And, if not, we've seen the effects of committing crimes happen to players. Cough, cough, Deshaun Watson. He's looked
The
awful
effects
since
of
the
committing
crimes.
crimes.
Is that a crazy sentence to say? Anywho,
Oh.
so I don't think he's going to be as big of a threat to Justin Jefferson's production. I think that Justin Jefferson wants to prove that he's still really good after coming off injury and such. And then I also think that they are in such a tough division where the other three teams legitimately could all win the division. Like there is a feasible path to winning the division for the Packers, for the Lions, and for the Bears. Not that it's likely for any specific team, but just that they could do it. They're going to be down in a lot of games, and I feel like they're just going to have to be chucking it. And so Justin Jefferson is going to be the beneficiary of that.
I can rock with that. How many more bold predictions do you have? One more? Okay.
more.
So I'm gonna just end with one less than you. So this will be my last one. You'll say yours will be good from there. So once again, pulling it out of thin air, my bold prediction is that the Philadelphia Eagles will lose more games than they win. They will go under 500 on the year.
All right. Well, when we get into the division winners predictions, we'll have some disagreements there, I'm sure. So my last bold prediction is that no running back will hit 1,500 yards for the second year in a row. I predicted it last year, and it was correct. That was on my bingo sheet, and it happened. And I just have a little stat here that from 2019 to 2022, we saw 1,500-yard rushers each of those years. And then it was 2023, no 1,500-yard rusher. I think it's going to happen again in
Double up.
2024.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to say that there's someone to really challenge that, with the usage of like younger running backs are the ones you would think that would be contending for that. Like CMC's already getting to the older part of that. He also is a huge receiving threat, so a lot of yards come from that.
Yeah. And then
Like
I also
Bijan is the closest that I think you would be able to like hypothesize, but I mean
See,
I
but-
wouldn't want to see how the Falcons run the ball.
Yeah,
before.
exactly. The thing is, every promising running back that I think could hit it is also in an offense that has a good quarterback and a good passing game that would want to pass the ball a lot, or a quarterback that also runs. So like Derrick Henry
True.
could probably do it, but Lamar Jackson is going to be taking a lot of those read options for himself. And Bijan could do it, but Kirk Cousins needs to throw the ball because they're paying him $40 million a year. And Brees Hall could do it, but Aaron Rodgers wants to pass the ball, and the Jets want the ball passed because they've got Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and they want to take advantage of that while they can.
Yeah.
So I feel like all of the guys who could do it are in a situation where they just probably won't.
All right. Breakout players?
Breakout players. I got 5 of them, and then I got
All right.
I want to lead this off with just saying that it's kind of difficult to judge what a breakout player is, because all the lists I see are literally just like, oh, this player's going into his second year and he had a pretty solid rookie season. That's a breakout candidate. Like, no, it's not. They're already good. That's not a breakout. I'm looking for guys who were underperformers that are now going to be good, and like maybe not top 1 of their position, but like probably go from not quite top 20 to solidified top 10 in their position. Which maybe doesn't apply so much to like the receivers that I've got here, because I don't think these guys are necessarily going to be top 10 receivers. But do you want to kick us off first and give us your first?
Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead and kick us off. I think maybe just a little tiny pincy-wincy bit of some bias during these picks, but we'll see. They're breakout players. Of course, the things I'm more in the know about, I'll be talking about.
Bro,
So-
gonna say Jameson Williams because of that
So-
bold prediction.
Hollywood Brown,
Ooh,
Marquise Brown, he's in definitely the best situation he's been of his career. Like, he's played with great quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like, don't say that. And the passing scheme was very strong in Arizona, but he's got Mahomes over Kyler. Sorry about it. The passing focus of the team he's on, and he's kind of been super unlucrative when he was with the Cardinals. So it's like, yeah, the potential was there, but Kyler got hurt, and he never really broke a ceiling there. So Marquise Brown, I think, has his breakout year. I think he only ever had 1 year over 1,000 yards, if that. That would have been a year with the Ravens, because I know for a fact it wasn't with the Cardinals. And the Ravens didn't pass like that. So I assume he might have not even broken 1,000 yet.
he had 1,008 in 2021 with the Ravens right before he got traded.
Ball knowledge. Boom.
Crazy.
So I think that he could definitely blow up this year and like pass 1,000 and then some, to have his definite best season breakout year this year.
I have a pretty basic gimme to kick us off. This is the most like basic answer I'll give during this, and it's Kyle Pitts. It's just hard not to mention him when he's new offensive coordinator. You saw what Arthur Smith did with the Steelers this preseason. It was not good, so it's safe to assume that you're going to want to play to your players' strengths. And then the way that Kirk Cousins talks about Kyle Pitts as well has me really excited to see how much he gets used in that offense. And the thing is, the quarterback play has jumped up a ton, but so has the backup quarterback level. So if Kirk does go down, if he does get injured again, Michael Penix is great insurance for any Falcons player, especially pass catchers, because you're going to have a quarterback who is capable, highly drafted, high ceiling kind of guy, or maybe not like super high ceiling, but like he's got the potential to be pretty decent.
Yeah, you'd hope so. He was drafted at 8.
Yeah. So if you've got an organization that believes in him, drafts him that high, you don't feel as nervous if Kirk does go down during the season. So I feel like Kyle Pitts is poised for greatness, and I feel like Drake London's in that same boat. But I'm gonna give the nod to Kyle Pitts just because I think he's more talented.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and jump into a breakout player related to that then, and it is Drake London. He finally has a quarterback that can be considered top 16 of the league. I don't think that argument could be made prior. And so I definitely expect him to be top target for Kirk. And Kirk definitely loves to feed his guys. Like, every time he has a guy, they get the ball. There's never like a Stephon Diggs, you better do it. It's just, it's...
Yeah, they got rid of Diggs.
Yeah, it's like, it's just natural. There's not going to be... he's not going to force it to him, but he's going to get it to him no matter what.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Drake London, I definitely think, is going to be the breakout for the Falcons. That was my pick for the Falcons, at least.
Nice. I'm going a different direction, piggybacking off Kyle Pitts and going with another tight end. And this one's a kind of a stretch to call a breakout as well. I guess my first two were not great breakout picks, but I think Evan Engram has a potential to solidify himself as one of the top tight ends, where he's kind of been in this tier two where he's just a solid tight end, but you're not
Yeah.
like considering him top of the league.
Yeah, I
I
feel like
think
he's
that,
been fringe. Like he's done
yeah.
good, but he's definitely been fringe of like what you would consider a top tight end.
Yeah, I think that Trevor Lawrence is going to have a better year than he had last year. I think he's going to be better than last year, and I think that maybe with I don't know if I would call it better receiver options, but with different receiver options, defenses may have to play to them more than to the tight end. Where before it was just kind of Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk was in the slot a lot, and there really wasn't a great third receiver. Where now you've got Kirk in the slot, you've got Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis lined up outside, and so you
Yeah.
kind of got possible threats at all three wide receiver positions. So
Yeah.
see a little bit of an
I
opening.
definitely like that. I like that that fringe level discussion for tight end too. Um, Next to my breakout player, I'm gonna be honest. I forgot about this when I made that bold prediction a little bit prior, but I do have Will Levis here. I think that under the addition of the Bengals offensive coordinator being hired as their head coach, I think that there might be a little bit of like, okay, we're molding the quarterback, we're turning this into a passing first team because we got rid of Derrick Henry. We're gonna modernize this offense, and that's gonna maximize Will Levis from the kind of raw potential we saw year one. Sorry about it, Gabe. I picked someone who's entering year two.
No, that's no.
I
It's
think that
completely
it's gonna improve, and I think that it'll definitely be a breakout year for him, where he's considered a lot better than he was at the end of last year.
Yeah, I think the picks that bother me more are the Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young picks, where I'm like, no, those aren't breakouts. Or the CJ Stroud pick, and I'm like, he broke out in week 2 last year. Like you can't call him a breakout. I do like the Levis pick. I think that not only adding Calvin Ridley, who I'm biased against him because I feel like he sucked on the Jags when I was expecting him to be pretty good.
You've been burned. Yep.
Yeah,
It's okay. Happens
I've
to the
been
best
burned by
of us.
Calvin Ridley. Yeah, but I do think that
New
him being
criminal
in that
charge
offense,
announced.
Jesus. I think him being in that offense, I think also the move from Derrick Henry to Tony Pollard is another one where it's like, they had Tyjae Spears and he was definitely their third down back where he was going out and catching passes and he was subbing in for Derrick Henry last year. And I think that Tony Pollard is a guy who can like actually run the ball as a not a Derrick Henry level guy, but where he's an actual running back rather than a receiving back. But I also think he has a lot of receiving upside. So they'll have a lot of either two running back sets where they're running both of them out of the backfield or doing some fun things with that offense. I think
It's just less of a tell as well. If you saw Derrick Henry subbed out on the third down and
it's a pass.
Yeah. If it's 3rd and 4 and Derrick Henry isn't there, they're passing it. Like just confirmed there.
Yeah. My next breakout player is Greg Dortch. I have been looped into the group on Twitter who is all for Greg Dortch, Dortch the Torch. He's going to be on fire this year, and I have really no reason to. I have no backups to the claim. It's just it's the
The hype. You bought in. You bought in.
Yeah, I'm completely bought into the hype. Absolutely.
All right.
I think that the health of Kyler Murray, and then the new, because it was. Did Kyler have a fully healthy year under Jonathan Gannon or no?
No, Gannon was
Okay.
there last year, first year.
Okay. Then yeah, that reinforces my belief that now that Kyler will have a fully healthy year and no Cliff Kingsbury, he could shoot to the moon. They've got Marvin Harrison, and then Greg Dortch. Woo. And in a similar realm, I think that Trey McBride is also going to be a really good player for the Cardinals. I think that offense is going to be a lot better than many people think.
Nice. I am going to, once again, actually, no. I don't think this is unlike me to make this claim, but I think that James Cook is going to have a breakout year.
I have him on my list as well. I also agree with that. I think
Nice.
my reasoning was Josh Allen has a significant lack of wide receiver weapons. James Cook is a decent receiving back. No?
Yeah. I think that towards the end of last year, he had a lot of really good games in a row, And that was kind of a notable shift from, Buffalo's tendency of like, we're not running the ball unless it's with Josh Allen. And, you know, there's not as many receiving room weapons. So maybe you should lean on your run game. And like, yeah, you're going to be giving Josh Allen hella carries still, but James Cook's going to get a better portion of it, especially after how he kind of showed he ended last year off as.
I do think also that we're going to see. I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to how the Bills' offenses run, because if they do lean more into the run, then that leads more into the belief that Diggs was forcing their hand and being like, "No, I need the ball passed," and they were taking his opinions into account to keep him happy, where they were passing a lot more than they should have. And so I think that if the Bills have the same issues and they have the same problems and they're still a heavy passing team, then maybe it's an organizational problem. And if they make the right shifts and they become this new powerhouse of rushing dominance with some good passing upside, we may kind of look on the Texans and see how they're doing with Diggs and see what's going on down there in Houston.
See if C.J. Stroud's got his interceptions looking on the rise. Things like that nature.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I stole your last one, right? Or no?
No, I have one more. Okay. And it kind of goes along with one of my bold predictions. Speaking of Stephon Diggs, being the wide receiver 4 in Houston, I think John Mechie is going to have a breakout year. And as a semi-bold prediction on top of that, I think he may get traded to the Panthers if he has a breakout year. I don't know if it'll be at mid-season or if it'll be after the season, but I think that Bryce Young and John Mechie having that college connection, Bryce Young's going to want him. The Panthers are going to want to pair good receivers with Bryce Young because that's what they're lacking right now is offensive talent. And I think that the Texans ultimately have too many cooks in the kitchen right now.
Yeah.
And that's not even like taking Diggs' diva-ness into account. Like that's if Diggs was just a normal solid receiver without him demanding the ball at all. I think that there would still be too many cooks in the kitchen and they would look to get some return on a guy that they didn't invest a whole ton into, and then he missed a year, and Nico Collins and Noah Brown broke out, and I don't know. I feel like he's got a chance to have a breakout in Houston and then move on to another team.
It's odd that you say that because I feel like the past month I've seen that take like weeks apart. Like I saw someone say like, I think John Mechie is going to break out this year, and then I saw another take of like John Mechie is going to be a future Panther, and after this breakout, like it's like what?
I've seen it a little bit around, but I definitely I wrote it down on my list of bold predictions and my list of breakout players, and then I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw it, and I was like, okay, so I'm not alone in thinking that that's a possibility. And the tweet about him going to Carolina was definitely something that I was like, yeah, I see that happening.
This is, I do want to say, definitely the most positive Bills episode we've had. Talking about James Cook breaking out. We're talking, I said Josh Allen's going to have his best year. We're hating on Diggs. He's gone. So, like, big ups there. This is the best. This is the Bills Super Bowl for franchise tag level.
They won't make it. But if they do, they'll lose 4 in a row. Shout out, is it Jim Kelly?
I think. Yeah. Sounds right.
All right. You want to get into the division leaders?
We definitely can.
All right. I'm gonna start it off with one that you are going to disagree with me heavily on.
Okay.
And we're gonna have about
we're going in the
5-minute
order
debate
of the doc, right?
Yeah, we are. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. Nice.
I kind of alluded to this earlier in that I think the NFC North is a bit of a bloodbath. I think that the Vikings are going to lose it, and that is the only thing that I'm solid on. I think the Packers are going to win it.
Okay.
I think that saying the Bears might win it is a little bit bold because
no, I agree with
the rookie quarterback, rookie weapons. So I think that they're the second, or they're the least likely of the possible winners of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Lions are strong, but I don't know. I just got this feeling when I was writing this down. Like I penciled in the Lions. I was like, oh no shit, it's going to be the Lions. And then I looked back at it and I was like, man, I'm getting this sinking feeling that it's not going to be the Lions. And so I was like, all right, I got to write down the Packers. And then we'll have this fun segment where you hate me and drill into me for 5 minutes about picking the Packers. So carry on.
I have my pick of the Lions in the NFC North. I said, I, s- I
No
wish we were
way.
good enough at I wish we were good enough at editing for my head to actually just explode. Oh, okay.
Anywho,
Went over it as the Vikings and the Bears. They have quarterbacks and new systems. They have a new system in general for the Bears side. So there's that. And then the Packers are really good, but I'm biased, so I'm going to say Lions over Packers because F the Packers. But the Packers, you got that sinking feeling. I have that sinking feeling. I don't like it. I don't trust the Packers to not be the top dogs. It's been that way for too damn long. There's no way the Lions get to actually keep the, head honcho spot. It's not possible. So I'm very scared of the Packers, but I still have the Lions as my pick.
yeah, I think Dan Campbell said something about it where he was like, "Now we're not the underdog, so we gotta think about this more, and we're the team that people are trying to beat now."
Gunning for.
So
Yep.
yeah, and I don't know if that'll affect them. I really don't think it is. I don't think it's a guarantee that that's going to affect them or they're going to take a step back. I don't think that's like a. I do think the Lions are going to still be good this year. I think if they win it or if they lose the division, it's going to be like they're 12-5, Packers are 13-4 or something like that, where
Something
they're
crazy.
both
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
But I
think
just think the Packers can be a little better.
Yeah, I think if we want NFC North representation deep in the playoffs, it just can't be the Packers because they're going to end up going against 49ers and whoop-de-doo, you're out.
And then
So,
the 49ers are going to launch a deep ball and it's going to bounce off somebody's face mask and then Brandon Ayuk's going to catch it and they're going to win the game. Ripping open old wounds.
hurry up and
The
say your
NFC
pick for the
East
next
next up.
division.
Yeah, I've got the Eagles. This goes against your bold prediction.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I got the Eagles. I just can't put my faith in any other team in that division because
Yeah.
to me it's the Eagles or the Cowboys.
Yeah,
It's not the Giants. It is not the Giants.
it's not that they're
It's
going
not the
winless.
Giants. They're going winless.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
And I think the Commanders could be good. I don't think they're division winning good.
Yeah.
So I think that it's Cowboys or Eagles, and I think the Cowboys. Obviously, they paid CeeDee Lamb today, so that's a big move in the right direction of actually paying your talent. But if they have any of their top three that they don't decide to pay, they're losing that division to the Eagles. There's just no way about it.
So I had to go against every single moral bone in my body, and I had to pick the Cowboys here. And my reasoning is that, okay, Commanders, rookie quarterback, they could be good. This just won't be their year. The Giants. The Eagles have two new coordinators hired in. They also are lacking Jason Kelsey. And do I think Jason Kelsey, stopping 1D tackle was super important to the team? No, I think Jason Kelsey making protection calls at the line of scrimmage was. So we have new coordinators for both the offense and the defense, which, kind of sucked last year. So maybe it will be an improvement, but it's still change. And then you have Jalen Hurts or a new center who's having to take the role of I'm making protection calls. So, they moved the needle in the right direction from last year, but the Cowboys, I think, the Cowboys don't have to move the needle to stay at the top, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I also think though that something that we need to take into account is that Jalen Hurts hated the way Jason Kelsey snapped the ball, so maybe we'll see some better play out of him from that. But
Out of spite.
hey, any center's better than Jason Kelsey.
And get to you fast, quick.
Quick. So
All right.
NFC South, who you got?
Yeah, I'll kick us off here. I have the Falcons. I am a believer of Kirk. I think that he's rehabbed for the Achilles. I think that he'll do good in Atlanta. I think that they were definitely aggressive in their improvement effort this offseason by getting Kirk, by getting the safeties they did with Jesse Bates, and just all of the additions they made to the team outside of a first-round draft pick, I think really helped to build the team up for this year. And, I think that the Panthers are still building, Saints are still building, and the Bucks, I feel like they lost a lot of players to their team. Like they kept the offense pretty much the same. Their defense, I think, will be worse. And their running game being the same is going to be last in the league. So the Falcons, I think, are going to steal the title away from that, especially with a coordinator who isn't named Arthur Smith, who's calling plays to try to take the offense forward. That's not his forte.
Yeah. I had the Bucks written down here. I kind of forgot about the Falcons. I'm not gonna lie. I looked at the Falcons logo and I was like, 28-3. They're not winning it. Stuck in the past a little bit maybe. But I do think that something you didn't mention for why the Bucks might take a drop off is the reason that I was like, you know what, I'll put the Falcons down. So I've switched it to the Falcons. I think the NFC South is going to the Falcons. But
Agreement.
it is the loss of Dave Canales, who is the QB whisperer, and we saw Geno Smith have a slight step back from his season with Canales, and then we saw Baker Mayfield take a huge step forward with his season with him. And while I think that he can still be a solid starter, I don't know that he will be at the level that he was last year. So
Yeah.
I think that the Falcons have a much higher ceiling, and my statement earlier about even if Kirk does get injured again, having the injury insurance of Michael Penix is great for the team. So I think that can reign true.
All right.
And then we get into the NFC West.
I'll kick us off with the NFC West. A predictable pick that goes against your predictions of prior. I'm going with the 49ers. It's definitely a really tight division. It's always feels like it has been since like 2018. Just constant bloodbath. Everyone's vying for the top spot. And I think that with the current situation of the 49ers, they got the Ayuk situation they had to deal with this whole freaking offseason. And coming up soon is going to be the Brock Purdy contract discussions. So this is the year that they really need to gun it in order to, okay, Brock Purdy needs to get a really big, like he wants a good contract. He should really perform this year. A lot of the players need to perform really well. And then also the team as a whole should perform really well in hopes that when they lose all of these pieces, they at least have a Super Bowl out of it. So I think that this is going to be the year that they try to, make a deep run because of all of these contract stuff going on.
So I just opened up Twitter to see if there was any more news about the Ayuk situation, if there was any leaks or anything like that. And the first thing I see is that the Packers traded for Malik Willis from the Titans. So they sent the Titans a 7th-round pick for Malik Willis. So breaking news. A few days late because this is not getting uploaded as soon as we record.
We are not live.
We are not live. Anywho, I think that the Ayuk situation and what I've seen of Debo this preseason and what I've seen of Brock Purdy this preseason, it just leads me to think that team is not a lock to lead the division. I think they absolutely have the talent to do it on defense, if nothing else. Like, even if their offense stalls, they have a really freaking good defense. But I'm just getting this feeling about the Rams, man. It's kind of the same with the Packers and Lions, where I just had that feeling about the Packers. I'm getting this feeling about the Rams, and I've got them winning it. I think that division is one of the toughest in football, and it's not talked about as much as like the AFC North. But I think that the Seahawks could make a run and perform really well, and I think the Cardinals could too, especially if Marvin Harrison Jr. has a great season and if Kyler Murray comes back and looks like he did in like 2020. So, yeah.
All right. On to the AFC North. I want to hear you start us off with your pick for the AFC North here.
It's pretty basic. I just got the Ravens.
Okay.
I think the addition of Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Mine's pretty basic. I got the Bengals.
It's the bloodbath division. It's the...
I have more doubts about the Browns, the Steelers offseason moves than anything. And then I also have a little bit of doubt on the Ravens offseason moves. The Bengals, they kept the main pieces around for another year, and
no Joe Mixon.
True.
I don't think that makes or breaks.
Yeah,
the team.
I don't. No offense, Joe Mixon. I think you're great, but I feel like it's more scheme than personal achievement. And for the Ravens, Ravens are scary, always will be. But I just got the Bengals out of the bloodbath of those two teams.
I don't know. I just think that the Ravens they got something, man. That defense is special too. They got
Mm-hmm.
Roquan and they got Nate Wiggins, who's looked pretty good this preseason as
True.
well. I did
Nate
see some
Wiggins
stuff about
is.
that. And then Derrick Henry, I think, is just like the cherry on top, where he might not be. He's not a third down. He's not a three down back,
Mm-hmm.
but if he runs out onto that field, he's
In the
commanding
Ravens
attention no
scheme,
matter
he
what
could be a
else.
three
Like
down back. Like if we're being honest, they
I
even
just think
with their
Keaton
heavy
Mitchell needs
pass
his
sets,
snaps.
they
Yeah,
could
I
have
just think that,
two running backs in the backfield. But
I just think the other running backs also need their snaps. I think, especially Keaton Mitchell coming off. Well, if he is healthy.
all right, and then I also want you to kick off the AFC East, your division of fandom.
Yeah, just because it's the team with the least question marks, I got the Dolphins winning it. I feel like with the Bills, it's some questionable playmakers where they're either
Mm-hmm.
rookies or unproven. With the Jets, it's Aaron Rodgers, and then the
Yep.
playmakers as well. We didn't see them do too well with Zach Wilson, which, yeah, of course. But like we just didn't see them do too well. Patriots are not winning the division this year. I think they're setting themselves up to be in a good position, but they're not competing this
There.
year.
Yeah. You hit all the points I was gonna hit. I think the Dolphins are super productive in the regular season before the weather starts getting a little colder. And so regular season, my pick for the division has to be the Dolphins.
Yeah, I feel like with most of these divisions, we're between two teams, and then
Yeah.
there's the off chance it's just the one. But
Mm-hmm.
I think with the AFC South, it's another two-team battle where Colts are good, Titans are good, Jaguars and Texans, I feel like, are the two that have the best chance at it. And I've got the Texans. I just think CJ Stroud's going to continue to go, and I like the moves the front office is making to take advantage of the rookie QB or the rookie contract window, where they're
Mm-hmm.
overloading the
They
weapons
know he's the
department.
guy, so they're making sure
Yeah,
they're giving the guy the weapons. Yeah.
because when you think about like, oh, somebody who's, kind of teetering on the edge of being washed and being, still maybe being a weapon, you've got Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs, and those guys both went to the Texans, and that was already a potent offense. So
Mm-hmm.
you've added two guys who, as change of pace guys, are great. If they're just rotational, they're amazing. So I think that's a
Yeah.
big
I
up to
I
them.
also went with the Texans for my divisional pick, but I honestly I really believe in the Titans with my Will Levis takes prior. I really believe in the Colts with a healthy AR, and the Texans and the Jags. The Jags have definitely had their falters in the past, but the Texans are the top dogs. I have to defer to them. If I was to say, tack it on to my old bold predictions, I think that the AFC South is going to be the new like bloodbath division in the AFC over the AFC North. I think the AFC North has fallen off with the
Yeah,
Steelers
Steelers
and the
and Browns.
Browns. The Browns have the great defense. I just will never put any stock into Deshaun Watson as long as I live.
Yeah,
So I think that the AFC South will take the division from that moniker, that kind of feeling about the division from the AFC North into the South.
yeah.
And then I'll get my pick
Should
for
we
AFC West.
say it on three? One, two, three. Chiefs.
Chiefs. Nice. Okay. Cool. You can't bet against them.
No, and especially
The
not in the current AFC West. There's just nobody
Yes,
that competes with them right now.
Broncos got to deal with the post Russell Wilson era where they still pay Russell Wilson, and the Raiders. They got new. They are in position to build. As are the Chargers after seeing their wide receiver room absolutely explode, but getting Jim Harbaugh. You
I think the
just you
Chargers
have the
are going to
top
be
being the top here.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are going to be good. I think they're going to be just fine, but I don't think they're competing with the Chiefs. I just don't,
No.
because the other three teams you look at and you're like, wow, they either lost players or are just not good.
Yeah.
And you look at the Chiefs and you're like, you didn't lose anybody that was making your team, except for maybe L'Jarius Sneed, but you know, a big whoop, throw the ball further, like get more offensive production
Here's
then.
more offensive players here. Big whoop.
Yeah,
Alrighty. But that wraps
into
out.
the
That's all of the divisions.
that is
And
it's 8 of them.
now we get
That's how many
into
there are.
the award predictions. We're not predicting Coach of the Year because
Because I don't know coaches.
he does it. Check out the videos. There's proof.
No, I did okay. I did
You
okay.
did pretty
I didn't
good.
know who Dan Quinn was, but I do now.
Yeah, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin looking.
Stone Cold Steve Austin looking motherfucker.
All right.
You want to
Starting
kick us
off
off with
with
offensive player?
Yeah, I was gonna actually ask, do we want to go rookie or player of the year first?
we'll go bottom up. So we'll go comeback
Okay.
player first
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's only one name that I've got even like in consideration for that one.
All right.
Which I guess I probably should have more. I probably should have Kirk written down or something, but I don't.
Shoot.
Huh?
Go ahead and shoot with your one name then.
Gonzo, Christian Gonzalez.
That's a you know commend that. I commend that.
Yeah.
Gonzo, I like your preference. Team bias. I'll never hate you for that. Uh, I there's a whole lot of people that are eligible for this. We got Kirk. We got Joe Burrow. We got Aaron Rodgers. We got Anthony Richardson. And
Yeah.
out of all of these things, Anthony Richardson's going to be my pick for this. It's bold because Joe Burrow, as I said, I think they're top of that division. I didn't think the Colts were going to be top of their division. But I think statistically, Anthony Richardson plus his rushing stats, I think it'll have more votes, just more like eyes, media wise, on Anthony Richardson for, second year player. We didn't get to see him. He's electrifying the field, what have you. I'm more in tune with that being the route than Joe Burrow.
That's fair. I do think that that's possible, and I think my I just had tunnel vision when I thought about comeback player of the year. I was like, yeah, it's Christian Gonzalez for sure. But I mean, hey, he was on pace to be defensive rookie before he got injured. So if he comes back to that level, I think it's definitely his for the taking. I'm gonna actually say both of my rookie picks because I think it's gonna follow the trend, and I think they're both gonna be from the same team.
Ooh, okay.
And I've got, I think, somewhat predictably, the first defensive player taken off the board, Leatu Latu, and Adonai Mitchell as my two picks. I could have gone with the slightly easier, like Caleb Williams pick, or
You have no idea. You said that you were gonna go with the two team, and I was like, it's got to be Leatu Latu and I Mitchell.
Yeah.
And I
No, it's Austin Booker and Caleb Williams.
I am so happy to hear that, Jake. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know that I fully believe in it. I do think that Caleb Williams got offensive rookie of the year on lock if he performs. If the Bears are like 8 and 9, I think he's got offensive rookie of the year on lock. But I also have
Caleb Williams, a little bit boring of a pick there with the
Yeah.
first overall pick, and he went to a great situation. So, I see a reason to not say Caleb Williams out of predictability standpoint. And so my rookie of the years is Leatu Latu. Because D-line is super popular to win rookie of the year for defensive players. And I really like Leatu Latu. Sorry about it. I also really, really liked Adonai Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell is not my rookie of the year pick. I'm going with Marvin Harrison because Kyler Murray has a good track record with his wide receiver ones. And I think that Marvin Harrison, as a rookie, could see the highs that D-Hop did. Because D-Hop, when healthy, when Kyler was healthy, had a great year. And I think Marvin Harrison can replicate that production.
Yeah, I think there's a couple too many question marks in the Cardinals offense where most of them are could this player be the number one?
Yeah, you're right. Greg Dortch is going to be.
I just think that new scheme with Kyler, because the only scheme we've ever seen Kyler in for a full season is Cliff Kingsbury, and
Garbage.
Yeah, like air raid, and I don't think that's productive. So I think that Michael Wilson can be good, who's their like wide receiver 2 or 3 with Greg Dortch, and then obviously Marv, and then I had Caleb and Marv written down, and then I ultimately decided on AD. And then for defensive rookie, I actually didn't have Leatu written down until I wrote AD in the slot, and I was like,
hold on,
I could do the thing. I could pick them both. And so I decided to go with Leatu over the 3 names I had, which were Johnny Newton, who I just have a soft spot for, and then Nate Wiggins and Jared Verse.
Yeah. I mean, Nate Wiggins' preseason was freaking hype. But, yeah, I looked historically, and I was like, there's been a lot of D-line lately. I think it's going to go D-line.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone here as being a sauce level prospect, like hitting the league immediately. But I do, Nate Wiggins is there. He is eligible for that. All right.
Let's go Depoy.
Yeah. You kick it off for me.
I know you're not picking who I picked, so you can kick it off.
All right. Fun. I was between 2 players when I was considering this. And I was between Aiden Hutchinson and Max Crosby. Those are really fun names.
Very interesting.
They haven't been here yet. It's not like I'm saying a Bosa. I'm not going
Yeah.
with like a Watt or,
Yeah.
you know,
Micah, even
Garrett,
though he hasn't
Micah,
been here
whatever.
yet.
You know, I think that with these current situations for both of these players, they got way better pieces around them. Wilkins and DJ Reader, Raiders and Lions, respectively.
Mm-hmm.
But I project the Lions secondary to be better than that god awful Raiders secondary that we discussed on end countless times last year. They are horrible. The Lions was also horrible, but we made moves to make them better than the Raiders did. So I project Defensive Player of the Year, Aiden Hutchinson. He led the league in pressures last year. I think he actually gets home on some of those this year.
So it would seem that I have misspoken because I had Max Crosby. I really didn't think you were going to give him the D-point nod.
Nice.
But I think that Max Crosby doesn't rely on coverage sacks to get sacks, so it's not really going to matter how his secondary's doing to get him that production. I think it's ultimately just going to be, well, we got to block Christian Wilkins and Tyree Wilson, and oh no, Max Crosby just killed our quarterback, and now what are we going to do? Our backup isn't good. What are we going to do, guys?
Put him on trial now. No depoy for you.
Arrest him. And on to offensive player.
I really like that I gave Max Crosby that nod. I didn't expect Latu out of you. I didn't expect Adonai Mitchell. We're just surprising each other today.
Yeah,
this is
man.
great. Great for an episode 0. Offensive Player of the Year. I want you to take it first.
All right. I have the newly rich man of CeeDee Lamb.
Nice.
And I think that, it's kind of weird that my bold prediction was that Justin Jefferson would lead the league in yards, but I just don't think there's much competition for CeeDee Lamb to get his targets. And I don't know. I feel like where I was talking about Justin Jefferson getting a bunch of yards because it's a bloodbath division and they're going to be losing in a lot of games, I feel like the Cowboys are going to be able to run up the score in a lot of games, and CeeDee Lamb is going to benefit from that because they're going to be playing the Giants twice. And, the Commanders' secondary is trash, and they're going to be playing them twice. And then the Eagles also have a somewhat questionable secondary, and they're going to be playing them twice. So, I don't know. I just like the CD pick. I also had Derrick Henry and Bijan written down as running back options, but after my bold prediction about no 1,500-yard rushers, I couldn't exactly go through with it.
You'd be breaking, you'd be a hypocrite somewhere. My offensive player of the year, which, I'm really doubting after hearing you talk, but I did go Tyreek Hill. I will admit I did not think about the secondaries he goes against in division, and that's a lot harder than what CeeDee Lamb goes against. I had CeeDee Lamb as my secondary nod here, but the reason I leaned Tyreek was I like McDaniels and his scheme a lot more than I like the Cowboys and their coaching and how they operate. I think that Tyreek Hill was on record pace last year, and it's shocking to me last year that he didn't win it. So I feel he could win it this year. He's getting older. CeeDee Lamb is a much more logical pick when you consider the secondaries, but I'll stick with what I had said, and I'll stay put with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I think that CD also just has less of an injury history than Hill. Obviously, Hill doesn't have any huge injuries, but he was banged up last year, and CD.
Yeah, that was the reason for the fall off on his pace, record-breaking year.
Yeah, I also am just a CD Lamb fan. Unfortunately, I like a lot of the Cowboys players. It pisses me off that they took him. I'm a huge Brandon Cooks fan. I've liked him since college, and the Cowboys now have him, and CD Lamb, Micah Parsons.
I feel the same way about the Bears. That's I like all of their new draft picks. I really like DJ Moore. I liked him before he was there. It's just now they're on the enemy. I don't like that.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll start off with your MVP pick. Preface, MVP, not Mahomes. All right.
Yeah, Mahomes the boring pick, so we decided to go with other boring picks, equally boring in my opinion. But I'm going to go through my 2 honorable mentions, which was Tyreek Hill
Nice.
and CJ Stroud, because he was in MVP talks last year, where it was could a receiver win it? If they could, it's going to be Tyreek, and it's going to be this year. And then the injuries, and then I had CJ Stroud just as the Mahomes Lamar classic QB in his second year breaks records and does crazy things and wins MVP. So, not that it's a a mold to fit, but
Yeah,
it's
upgrading from
happened
Rookie
before.
of the Year MVP.
Yeah. And then my pick was Joe Burrow. It's the boring pick, but I like it.
Yeah, my honorable mention was Joe Burrow, and I went with C.J. Stroud. We got some boring picks at the top of MVP because I'm not exactly going to throw out dark horse. Anthony Richardson, Kyler Murray.
Will Levis.
Yeah, we're making these picks in hopes that we are right and we add more street cred to our name, not in hopes of
Street cred. It's crazy.
all right, web cred. I don't fucking
Web
You want to make
cred.
it cringier, bro? Internet points. Give me some updates. We got
Ball knowledge.
yeah, we got ball knowledge if we get MVP right one time out of completely random pre-season prediction.
For sure.
But that wraps up our predictions here. Long episode 0, but we got episode 1 coming out to predict the week 1 games and kind of talk about some of those matchups more, and also get through some of our more usual segments. So next episode we'll be going over our stock market. We did it last year. We are up in the stakes, up in the money, heading into year 2. Trying to maximize our profit by quote unquote betting on teams. We are not betting. I am not an NFL player, so I could bet, but I don't. Here we
I
are.
like money, so I don't.
Kendall texted me 30 minutes ago that said Troy Aikman looks just like Jay-Z. And I had to try so hard to not burst out laughing when you were in the middle of talking about who your pick was for whatever division.
It's not. She's not wrong. She's not wrong, and I don't really like it.
Yeah.
I'm leaving this in, by the way. We're talking about this.
Okay, great.
We're including this. This will be a great clip for Opus to grab for us.
It's very uncomfortable, but not wrong.
Yeah, he's the white Jay-Z. Oh, that's crazy. Anywho, thanks for watching.
Outro, man.
Alrighty, guys. If you have enjoyed, leave a like, leave some comments down below, roasting us for our horrific division leaders and award predictions takes. Let us know some breakout players that you have that are not just the standard basic, I think Bryce Young is going to have a good year. Like, yeah, we all do. But we don't have to say it over and over again. Give us some bold predictions, some breakouts, such and things. Contribute to our segments. And stick around for the rest of the season. We've got a lot of cool things planned. Some higher production value for sure.
Woo-hoo!
On this season of the podcast
season 2
than on
we're
season
upgrading,
1.
baby.
Yeah, we've got a lot more just like actual graphics and visuals that we're going to be using.
Yeah.
And then not just that, but we've got obviously the year of experience on podcast season 1. So we're a little bit more prepared, I think.
We got our ball knowledge up. We're a little smarter too.
We know balls.
Trying to make y'all smarter. Check out Dumb Down playlist on the channel.
Check out our other videos as always, and I think that is just about all for episode 1. Obviously, we'll have some more week 1-esque things. We're gonna look into some pickems and some stocks, like he was saying. But with that, deuces.